Comic books and books, it's a slow news week here. We do have two decent things to talk about, and those are going to be DC bringing back the Elseworlds stuff. We've talked about this once. It is now getting fleshed out. We'll get into some details there. Plus, The Witcher is getting a brand new comic book, and it's going to be an adaptation of one of the short stories done in the books. So that's pretty cool. Hello, nerds, and welcome to this week's episode of The News as it pertains to comic books and books. No discussion of current storylines, story arcs, or any of those kind of details is going to happen here per se. I am, after all, a one-man organization and can't read every book that comes out and report on it and any of the news therein. But we can talk about new announcements and major changes as they pertain to any of the publishers that we follow, or just generally nerdy literary information in that sense. So let's get into all of that, shall we? And also, if you dig what's going on here, there is a much more up-to-date and possibly relevant, because it takes a second to get these sections posted up, so probably much more up-to-date version of the news in long form I like to call The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, which you can find linked in the description as well as at the end of this video. That show covers many more points of interest in the nerd community, in the pop culture community at large, and so definitely go check that out. Now let's get into all of those literary notes, shall we? We pretty much are just talking new books. One of them is technically a follow-up. The other one is technically a new book. We're just going to put them together and not worry about sub-sections for the comics this week. Our first one is Batman Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age. This is the book. We talked about this when it was originally announced a couple months ago. We got a little bit more info for it this time around. Andy Diggle is going to be writing it. Leandro Fernandez is going to be doing art, so it is not the original writing and art team. We're coming back to 19th century Gotham with a 19th century Justice League. It will be introducing us to Catwoman in this story, as well as Green Lantern. It's pretty freaking cool. Series kicks off June 11th and is going to be, on bookshelves June 11th. And so if you have a pull list, then it should be sent to you at the same time. I don't think there's any separation of dates here. The other book that we are talking about this week in Comic Books and Books is Dark Horse is doing The Witcher. We have Dark Horse teaming up with Projekt Red in order to adapt the short story The Edge of the World, which comes from The Last Wish, which is one of the novels, into its own graphic novel. So the new adaptation will feature writer, and I'm not going to be able to say these names correctly, so I apologize in advance. Writer Magdalena Salik, and art from Tommaso Bennato. Color is going to be Chris O'Halloran. Lettering by Hassan, this one I'm really not going to be able to say, Otsmane-Elhaou, something. Sorry for not being able to say those words, but graphic novel. This one does have a split. There's the whole graphic novel available December 17th in bookstores and December 18th in comic stores. So it's going to be big box bookstores are going to get it a day early, as opposed to when your comic book store is going to get it, because it is going to be released as a full proper graphic novel. It's not going to be released as individual issues. So I'm sure that has something to do with their reasoning for that. That is, like I said, the entirety of the news for this week in comics and books. We do, though, have a suggestion for Comic Books and Books, and that is Gotham by Gaslight, the OG. Written by Brian Augustine, and art from Mike Mignola, because Mike Mignola art is just amazing. So I really hope that the new Gotham by Gaslight book series is going to lean into something of a similar look. But either way, go read the original. It is absolutely freaking fantastic. It is considered a classic for a reason, and it's on you to figure out what that reason is this week, as that is your suggestion for Comic Books and Books. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.